great gentlemen here. We've got JJ, the renegade of wrestling. We've got Dave, and joining us for the very first, hopefully of many times, we have Nick. Starting off with Nick, how you doing, man?
Oh, buddy, so good. Thank you for having me. We had to get a little Canadiana up in here. I saw yesterday night on the No DQ review. I was like, we need some Canadian spirit up here.
Yeah.
But I mean, first and foremost, I mean, JJ knows. Thank you so much for everything that you and Aaron, just all the channels that do for us. Getting to put our stuff on your platforms is always a treat. So thank you for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. And speaking of that, shout out to the boss man, Aaron Rift. We are live on his channel as well. So when we do our plugs at the end, you know, whether you're watching on his channel or my channel, make sure you go and show some love to everybody else. Now, if we could only get Psycho Jet Black to show some real love to everybody. JJ's with us. JJ, how you doing?
I'm doing good, man. You know, it was a bit of a crappy day at work today. You know, I know a lot of you guys know I do Uber. I was out for 6 hours today. I didn't even crack $50. I'm like, dude, that was abysmal. So I'm like, I'm just going to go home. I'm going to jump on Major Push. I'm burning more gas than I'm making money. Let's do the thing. Let's have some fun wrestling talk with the boys.
Yeah, we're happy to have you with us. I came back from my trip that was to Canada and like 7 states in the Northeast, and it was a $70 to $100 Uber, 25 minutes from the airport to my house, and then I went on Lyft and it was $25. So there's a chance that the clientele is moving over to Lyft, just because of the pricing structure there. So maybe, I don't know if you can get on that, but you know, that's another topic for another day. And what rhymes with day is Dave, and Dave is here. Dave, how you doing, man? It looks and sounds like you got your stuff together after last night. What's going on, man?
Well, thanks, Gino. In fact, I'm going to take the boss Aaron's expertise advice. I'm going to go out on payday and get myself a MacBook. So hopefully next week you'll see me on a MacBook and not a small phone anymore. And I'll upgrade a little bit because I'm on here. I want to make sure I'm not having the issues I had. And welcome to Nick. I got to meet him when I got to do Simply Reliable. And great seeing you again, JJ.
Cry.
And I'm great seeing you again, JJ. And I hope to be on with you guys again soon. And with now my issues maybe gone, I'd love to join you guys again. So let's have some great discussion, Gino. We did a great job with the moderating last night. Those last 2 hours, I saw how tired you were, and I watched the whole show after I got off, and you did a great job.
Thank you very much. Yeah, literally, my eyes were getting bloodshot. I was like, my body and my spirit was there, but my eyes were just like, I was like ready to.
And it was amazing seeing Rift Aronson tell me to kiss my ass after I super chatted.
Bro,
Jesus,
I was so nervous of what he was going to say about me when he was talking smack about everybody, and he didn't say anything about me. I'm not sure if that's because he doesn't think I can take it, or if it's because he doesn't have anything bad to say about me. I'm hoping it's the latter. But with that said, shout out to everybody.
I escaped it too, but I think I escaped it because I wasn't on the panel. So
yeah, I was
I was in the audience and he got me.
Yeah. He was a treat. That was my first time doing it with him. So with all those,
I'm still a no name, so we're good.
Yeah, until we get you onto the review. So, and again, shout out to the No DQ Galaxy and the review for bringing all of us or most of us together. And it's just so good to have a group of guys and sometimes gals that we can talk this thing that we love, professional wrestling. So everybody watching live or on demand, don't forget to either leave a live chat or a comment. We will address them. I'll be bringing them up on the screen. So usually we've got a few topics, but really just got one topic today. If it's a shorter video, that's fine. I really wanted to address this. I actually picked this topic earlier in the week because of a meme that I know that probably wasn't just me that saw, but I saw this meme and I was, it's kind of one of those things that's been talked about a lot, but seeing it really kind of jumped off the page at me. So we have the I'm going to pull this up for us so I can address it here. All right. So this is what we're looking at right now. So everybody likes to compare the Attitude Era to the current because the Attitude Era was the best that wrestling, especially WWE, WWF, has ever been. You know, I don't think you'll hear anybody complain about that. And here are a list of the wrestlers essentially in the main event scene currently. And then this is probably just half of the main event scene during the Attitude Era. But I want to go through, we've got the current age of the main event talent. Cody Rhodes, 41. Roman Reigns, 41. LA Knight, if they ever put the strap on him, he will be well deserved, but he's 43. Randy Orton, 46. Man, does he look like $1 million for 46. Gunther, him and Randy and Gunther swapped weights. Randy put on like 40 pounds of muscle and Gunther lost like 40 pounds of fat, and he's 38. So he's the youngest guy on this list at 38. Seth Rollins, 40. CM Punk, 47. That does feel right for somehow. Drew McIntyre, 41. Kevin Owens, 42. And Jey Uso, 40. And then going back to 1999, The Rock was 27. Stone Cold was 34. Undertaker was 34. Foley was 34. Triple H was 30. Kurt Angle was 30. Shawn Michaels was 34. Kane, the Big Red Machine, was 32. Y2J, Chris Jericho, 28. And the Big Show was 27. Like, obviously they were all older than me back then, but that still feels like, it feels like young looking back at it now. And we've got these guys in the main event scene that are so much older. And I have the title of the video, WWE's age-old problem. And you guys know, have watched for any amount of time. Like, we want to bring positivity to the internet with this show. So I'm not complaining necessarily about that, but I kind of want to see why that is. Right. There's speculation. It's kind of come up in conversation on our various videos that we've done and discussions that we've had. I really wanted to hammer home, and I'm glad I got a group of guys. I was thinking about doing it by myself and just giving a rant style, but I'm glad we're here. I'm glad we're live. And so we're just going to go right around the panel, and I'm going to see kind of why we think the age difference. We could talk about why you think the guys are so old now, what you think helped their youth in the 90s. So I'm going to throw it over to JJ. Again, every time I throw it over to JJ, I gotta
come to me last.
Come to him last?
Because I've got some stuff to say about this. I want to see what the other boys have to say.
Okay, fair enough. So sometimes we do get a return serve back to the moderator, which is fine.
I just want to say this topic intrigued me to the point where I did a little bit of research of my own. That's why I want to go last. I want to see if either of these guys touch on it so that I don't have to. But if they don't, I'm locked and loaded, ready to fire.
Sounds good. So I will take this opportunity to just throw out a little bit. I don't want to step on the toes of the other panelists here. But the first thing is it's a different era, right? The things going on in 1999 versus 2026 are different. WWE's biggest competitor isn't going head-to-head to them on their premiere show anymore. They had WCW going head-to-head with them. They had to do what they had to do. They had to capitalize when the guys were hot. And some people talk about hot potatoing the WWE title and stuff. Like, to me, everybody should want that prize. So it being hot potatoes, like in regular combat sports, one guy can beat the other guy and then can lose to this guy, but that guy can beat this guy. Like, that's kind of how it goes. Nowadays, it's like, if you're at the top, nobody can really beat you other than the other top guys. And they've got some young talent that could be the future, and they just don't seem to want to capitalize on that. Now, I know wins and losses don't matter in wrestling, but they kind of do, because if you have the WWE title, even for 9 days, that means something. The crowd can look at you in a different way. Now, winning the title and going on a good run or whatever, like The Rock's title runs were like 40 days on average. Like, and he still is what he is, right? So those are just a few thoughts off the dome. I'm going to throw it over to Dave now. Dave, you've been watching wrestling for a long time, and I want to see kind of what your thought process is. Is it something wrong with the current WWE, or are they just doing what's right and they had to do what they did in the 90s? What do you think, bud?
Oh, and you went to me first on this one.
Everybody can't skip. Somebody's got to go.
No. And well, I've been thinking about since you put the topic out. I think it's a combination of things. I think you saw the main guys in 1999 that were younger. I think they didn't last as long, or they got injured, didn't get as injured as, I don't think you saw, I think we're in better shape. People are in better shape nowadays. Not us, I mean, or me in particular, but I think the wrestlers stay in better shape, and and they don't wrestle as much. So the main event scene you see is older, because I think it's just that the wear and tear is not like it was years ago. But on the other hand, it's not younger either right now, because they're not pulling the trigger on a lot of guys. And we've talked about many times about how Braun Breaker was stopped in his tracks pretty much. We don't know about Oba yet. But there's no one really to replace the older guys to be the main event guys. Hopefully guys like Trick Williams and Carmelo Hayes and Braun Breaker eventually can, and whoever is going to come up from the NXT. I don't watch as much NXT anymore, but I know Miles Bourne is fairly good, and there's a couple other good guys down there. And Grayson Waller, if he gets this reboot where he's treated like a wrestler and not a comedy act, I think they got guys in the pipeline, and then people coming over like Zilla Fatu. I think they're doing right with him too by starting in NXT. We talked about in the chat, because Solo started there, and he may not have been there a long time, but I think that's the right move. I don't think you should be throwing him right on the main roster. The other MFTs got thrown on the main roster because they were older, but still, sometimes you want to start off in NXT because really they're not getting they just didn't get the looks. But I think that's my main point, is those two things. Is there's good and bad about it, but if they don't start fostering the younger guys, there's going to be trouble, because Reigns' acting career, he's not going to be around much longer. He's barely, even when he drops the belt, you'll be lucky to see him once every few months again. Randy is breaking down right now. I thought he was a little bit younger than 46, but he's breaking down a lot more, and I think he's nearing the end. Cody's still going, but I don't know how much longer he'll go. CM Punk, I think he'll be done by 50. I don't think he's going to go past 50. But I think that's the generalization. I think it's just that the workload is different nowadays, and that's why you got a lot of main guys in their 40s still at the top of the card too.
Thank you, Dave. I'm glad that you brought up that point, and as we throw it to the other guys, they'll have the opportunity to share their own thoughts and speak to the points that are presented here. But that is a good point. The longevity is definitely a factor in why today they're so much older, because they can last a lot longer with the schedule that they have. There were obviously older wrestlers in 1999, but it was that new crop, that younger crop, that the people that all of these guys on both sides of the list, but especially in 1999, like all of those guys, except for Chris Jericho and The Rock, as of yet, are Hall of Famers, right? And I don't think Big Show's in the Hall of Fame yet, but they for sure will be. Obviously the two of them went to AEW, and The Rock, they're just waiting to put him in when he's officially done. But I'm surprised they didn't take advantage of that earlier. So I'm going to throw it over to Nick. Nick, buddy, what are your thoughts on this?
We're good. We're good.
Yeah,
see, when a Canadian comes on, it's just crazy. Honestly, dude, I think with that point, I mean, Dave brought up a good point. The schedule right now, it's lighter on the wrestlers. There's no wear and tear not a lot of wear and tear that's going on with their bodies. The advance in modern medicine too is a thing, right? The athletes nowadays have access to, especially at that level, have access to so many things that, us 9-to-5ers might not necessarily have. But I'm going to go on a different route with this. And JJ says it all the time. We're in show business. This is a show business. As much as they're wrestling, as much as people want to say that they're wrestling, they are an entertainment company. They use that in a way where they market those stars, right? They can be those older, they can get up there in age, but if they're not taking bumps like before, it's easier on them. They're stars. They're in the business of, putting out their stars, right? Who would you rather have on a card? Like, let's be real. Like, if Obafemi is headlining it or The Rock is headlining a show, or Obafemi versus a Roman Reigns, right? A lot of people are going to gravitate, and not to say anything bad about, Oba and the young guys coming up. It's just these guys are stars. They're tried and true stars, and that's what the WWE is all about now. It's putting out those stars. Now, in fact, of like the younger guys coming up, is it a trust thing? Maybe. Do they look at the work that they're doing down there and they're saying to themselves it's not translating? It wouldn't translate to the main roster. How many times have we seen guys come up with just no creative? And that's we can get into that in another time, but that's an even broader scope with not just one company, but wrestling in general. Companies are finding it harder to make stars. It's not as easy as it was back then. So, it's a lot of different things, but at the end of the day, it's all about show business. It's just, at the end of the day, they're putting out their big guns, they're putting out their stars, and they're putting out people who have proven to be draws for the company. So, at this point, you're going to have those older guys until the wheels fall off, right?
I like that you're bringing that up because the WWE is very clearly relying on their big draws, right? And you mentioned the younger guys, right? Off the top of my head, Dominic Mysterio got hurt. Braun Breaker got hurt. Javon Evans had a match stopped because he got hurt. He came back the next week, but he had the match stopped, right? And I do think that I know that the best ability is availability. And if you can't rely on these guys to be healthy, that is definitely a factor, on top of the humble culture, which we've discussed here on a previous video. Go check that out, where you have to humble them. You don't want to get a guy in his head, and that's probably Randy Orton's fault. That's probably Brock Lesnar's fault, right? But it's concerning because they do have guys that they could have pulled the trigger on, like David mentioned. You had Braun Breaker the opportunity to give him the world title when Seth got hurt. That was like the perfect time to strike while the iron was hot, because kayfabe, he was the one that took Seth out. We know that's not the case, but they had the opportunity, and then you're watching WWE Unreal, and I get it. Not everything. They're choosing what to show us on that show,
100%.
But doesn't mean that we're not going to still be able to read between the lines. When they go through, and Seth was hurt in that episode, they go to everybody at the table. Who should we go with, Braun or Punk? And everybody said Punk, because they don't have to change their plans, and they can put Punk in with anybody that they were going to put Seth in the ring with, and it could be business as usual. But sometimes the opportunity is knocking, and you got to open that door. And I think even if Braun had only held it for a few months before losing it to CM Punk, like, that still would have done wonders for him. He took the World Heavyweight Championship and left after laying out Seth. And that was such a great image. And we were all like, yes, they're going to pull the trigger on Braun, and give him a chance to see if they can prove you right or prove you wrong, instead of let's just not give him a chance. Let's make him wait 5 years, 10 years. Somebody last night asked me, do I think Austin Theory will be a world champion? The dude is 28 years old. Some of these guys on this list, Cody didn't even wait it till he was, or maybe he's 29 and Cody was 38 when he won it. Either way, that's 10 years of potential to win. And eventually these guys are going to age out of the company. And when that happens, WWE isn't going to have, they're going to have to build new stars, but they're not going to have stars that they've already got building coming up, except for guys like Oba. Yes, Nick.
Well, I was going to say to that point, and you know, so if anybody watches us at the Simply Reliable Studios, you would know, you know, I am a big AEW guy. I'm a big AEW fan. But I am critical when it's time to be critical. And I think especially now in 2026, the creative across wrestling is not there. The creative in both companies is sorely lacking to a degree. So, I mean, if you even take that into account, do you want these stars of tomorrow coming up? Like, I'll be honest, Tatum Paxley came up on Friday. I'm a little bit worried because it's like, what are they going to do with her when they had a gimmick similar to her? And we've had on the channel, we had somebody come on board with sort of the same gimmick. And WWE didn't know what to do with this said group. So it's like, do you want to bring these talents up there to the main roster when there's nothing for them? Like, you want to bring up, you know, JC Jane and Fallon Henley and Fatal Influence. You know, they came up. How long after were they crowned tag team champions? So now where do they go from here, right? You're doing it. I don't want people to come up here for the sake of just coming up here. Bring them up there for a purpose. Bring them up for a reason. And right now, the creative is not there, again, across all of wrestling to warrant any new stars being made. Because what have they shown us recently? Not much.
And I like that point with Fatal Influence, because that first night they attacked the whatever Healthy Bella was at the time. They attacked her, and or maybe they were, but they attacked people's favorites. And then when they came out to the ring or even to the ramp, they were getting booed, like really good heat, like good, not go away heat, like boo, I hate you, you're doing stuff I don't like, in like a wrestling good way. And then it cooled off. And that, speaking of creative, like at the end of the day, WWE, AEW, it's TNA, it's TV shows, right? If you just put people out there for one segment and then we don't hear from them until next week, like, what is this, Game of Thrones? No, like, you have to have characters that appear multiple times on the show. Like, for example, Solo Sikoa. He had the intro on Monday Night Raw, did a great job, and then we saw him backstage. We saw LA Knight a couple times backstage. Like, give us a story that you're telling day for the day and do week to week. It's not just, we'll just do this and then move forward, because the fans watching that are going to the show next week, like, they're obviously influenced by what the crowd is telling them to say and do on the previous show, except for Philly. And I'm gonna freak out if I talk about this for too long, and Mean Gino's gonna come out. But that Philly crowd sucked so much ass, it was crazy. And then Aaron gave them credit. Well, they were chanting. No, just because you can hear 5 people chanting something, that's the that proves my point. Like, they weren't in unison. They weren't doing anything. They were just quiet on their hands. Every face-to-face interaction backstage, they didn't even go like, ooh. But then we had Norfolk, Virginia. Every time 2 people came face-to-face backstage, they were like, ooh, what's going to happen? Like, they were invested. And, like, that's why a crowd is part of the show. And it comes to creative. Like, you know, I'm just so happy they're in Boston on Friday, because, you know, my hometown city area is not going to let us down. They are going to go ham. It would be great if John Cena shows up. I don't know if that's in the cards. I think that's Carmelo's day to shine, hopefully. Probably not, because it's WWE and we know what they like to do with hometown guys. Yes, Dave.
You and Nick brought up good points. You know, first of all, we all talk about it. When you have somebody on more than a few minutes in a show, the best shows are with the stories that go from the beginning to the end of the show, where you see them feathered out inside the show. Even as much of a WWE fan I am, I do like AEW, and the only one that seems to do it with and do it great is MJF. MJF is wonderful when they do stories that go from the beginning of the show to the end of the show with them. And Nick brought up a great point too about fatal influence and about Tatum Paxley. Tatum Paxley, I'm concerned for another reason. They're bringing her up on SmackDown. How many SmackDown women are on ice right now? They got so many women on SmackDown, and Raw is so light on the female side right now. So now you're going to have her. You got Jordan Grace, who's in main event. They're wasting a great talent there, and JJ's brought it up many times. This woman's a TNA World Champion. They seem to have treated her and Joe Hendry like crap, and I just, even whether anybody likes him or not, I know he's some people's cup of tea. It's still, you don't bring people in there to be comedy acts, and it just seems like Jordan Grace has been put aside. Julie was the worst of them. Julia was a great talent. Her and Stephanie had great matches and great feuds in NXT. You bring her up and they give her a title, but they really don't have a plan for her. And now she's being wasted. The girl they brought up with her, or team her with, yeah, she's being wasted too. It's just like you got too many wasted women on SmackDown right now, especially since they went from the 3 hours to the 2 hours now. So it's like, and it's the creative, like you guys have said. There's no doubt creative has gone to crap this year on both sides.
And I like that you bring that up. And I'm a big movie guy. Everybody knows this. And if you don't, you're about to find out, because and I'm a superhero fanatic. Superhero movies are my jam. Do I think every single one of them is good? No. Do I love cameos? Yes. But you don't just throw in a character just to throw them in because for fan service, right? And that's almost kind of like the thought process when they're bringing these people up. It's like, well, there's nothing more for them to do in NXT, and they've got to go somewhere, and it's like, we're just gonna pepper them in. Oh, cameo. Hey, Blake Monroe, anybody? Like,
who's that?
She hasn't even had an entrance yet. And she could be something that they capitalize on. They had her beat down somebody, and then the next week they're like, Blake Monroe next week, and then she's just doing backstage stuff. It's just it's not a logical flow of storytelling, and the problem is we've seen the WWE writers' room advertisements for hire, right? They want people with 10 plus years of writing experience. Now, I don't want this to become a whole Hollywood thing, but we had the writer's strike. Even the studios don't believe that there should be more than one writer. I think that's mostly Taylor Sheridan's fault, because he's so good by himself, making the best TV shows out there, basically, and he does it with no help, writes every word. That's insane. And they're like, see, that can be done. But it's like, you need to also have a plan, and 10 years of TV writing. Like, we don't get TV shows for 10 years anymore. Oh. So they have to learn to do all these jumping ships. But I don't want to lose the plot here, because at the end of the day, we do want to bring it back to the age thing. So they are trying to bring people up. They have young wrestlers. They just don't seem to want to prioritize them. JJ, you've heard what we've had to say. You've emoted. You've reacted. Oh. The floor is yours, young man.
Young man. I'm probably the second oldest here behind Dave. But
take the compliment, damn it! Oh, who said that?
I'll take it. I'll take it. I laugh at it. I laugh at it. But okay. So where to begin? Because y'all brought up some great points here. Nick brought up the bringing people up too early, and where do you put them? How do you work them in? The problem with the WWE system when it comes to that is if you leave them in NXT too long and you don't bring them up, then they end up being released. Because you've got LFG, you've got WWE ID, you've got Evolved, then you've got NXT, then you've got main roster. And it's like, if you don't bring those people up from NXT to the main roster, even if there's nothing to do for them there, you have to cut them, because you've got all these other parts and cogs in the wheel that need to get to NXT. You guys mentioned the people being so young, and maybe that's why they're not trusted. And Gino, you brought up the humble pie and everything. 100% Brock Lesnar and Randy Orton fucked it up for everybody. You know, Brock during his first run left at like 27 years old after being given the world. And how did he treat WWE after he left when he went to the Minnesota Vikings and then the UFC? Treated WWE like shit. Randy Orton got handed the youngest world champion so they could take that record away from Brock. And he was so immature that he couldn't handle the stress and the pressure. And it was a good couple years before he got the title again. That's why they're not pulling the trigger on Braun Breaker, Trick Williams, Carmelo Hayes, Javon Evans, etc., etc. They don't want to put that burden on these guys and them not be able to deliver. But back to the point at hand, and I told y'all I was locked and loaded. The title of the video you pointed out is WWE's age-old problem. It is only a problem to certain sectors of the internet wrestling community. Pew pew, shots fired. Okay? Go back in history, y'all. Bruno Sammartino was 42 years old when he lost his second WWF championship. Harley Race won his final NWA championship at 41 years old. Dusty Rhodes won his second and third NWA titles at 40. Bob Backlund was 45 when he won the WWF championship the second time. Vern Gagne, a 10-time AWA champion, had his final run at 55 years old. Nick Bockwinkel, 40, 47, and 52 for his 4 different title runs. Chris Jericho was 48 when he won the AEW title, 51 and 53 when he won the Ring of Honor title. And Steen was wrestling in AEW competitive matches, maybe not always main events, at 60 years old. This isn't just a WWE thing. This is an across the board thing. This has been going on since before a lot of us were fucking born. Shut up. If the person can draw, they're in the spot. Period. Point blank. End of story. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk.
Yeah, thank you very much, JJ.
Jesus.
So, you know, like I absolutely hear what you're saying, right? This is just kind of being brought to light, and the internet wrestling community, the IWC, is shining a light on it.
And I want to point out, I find the irony in Shawn Michaels being listed there for 1999 when he was the fucking commissioner and retired from wrestling. Like, he wasn't even wrestling in 1999, but he's listed there.
And you know, like, again, I took this from the internet, right?
I know, and I'm not shooting at you, Gino.
Oh no, I don't
Just
think
so
you
you
are.
know, I am not coming at you. I am coming at the IWC, because whoever made this meme, it's all WWE. There's
Right.
nobody from any other companies listed in this.
And it's very clear that they are, you know, like you said, if you're a star, you're a star. Now, I don't read the comment section and see like what's the point of a post like this, right? But for me as a fan, right, and as somebody who's business minded, because it is the wrestling business after all, like WWE is making more money hand over fist than they ever have. Granted, like I said in the opener, there's a difference between wrestling in 2026 and wrestling in 1999. WWE's on Netflix now. That's 200,000 friggin' extra homes in new countries all over the world that now have access to watch this stuff whenever they want, as opposed to if you wanted to watch wrestling and you were in Europe, you had to wait for whatever local TV show was going to put it on. And it was days, sometimes maybe weeks, sometimes months. Sometimes you needed a VHS tape of a pay-per-view just to see that. Now, I think the people I don't want to speak for the person who made this. You know, the watermark is in the back, 90s WWE. So obviously this is a 90s touting channel that is just embracing that.
Mm-hmm.
But at a certain point, I think back to the business point, once these guys age out, if they don't have these stars, like you were saying, locked and loaded, then they're going to struggle, at least in the short run, because if they keep hurting with bad booking, guys like Dominic Mysterio, guys like Javon Evans now, guys like, Oba's not really hurting, but they did feed him to Brock for a match. I don't understand why he had to lose. They also fed him to Ricky Saints. I almost said Starks. Ricky Saints, and had him lose the NXT title just to win it back and drop it the way he should have dropped it, which is like, I've beaten everybody, I'm out. Like, that is how you bring somebody up. But you don't want, like, and at the same time, like, guys like The Rock, Stone Cold are also part of the problem because they both left as well. So these guys made this kind of an issue for the future generations. But having said that, this is a new ownership. This isn't Vince anymore, jaded from what has happened in the past and things like that. And I'm not talking smack about Vince. I had a lot of fun watching wrestling when Vince was in charge, and it is what it is today, due in large part to Vincent Kennedy McMahon. but at the end of the day, like, I do want to start seeing some of this new blood get over and do these things. And if they sink, they sink. Like, put it on the talent. Like, Braun Breaker comes from a wrestling family, right? Like, Obafemi didn't, Javon Evans didn't, guys like that. Dominic Mysterio comes from wrestling. He's literally a 25-year vet because he was involved in the custody of Dominic ladder match, if you want to look at it like that. I know he looks at it like that. It's just like, and somebody mentioned LFG, Evolve, all that stuff. WWE is doing this so that they can have a pipeline of people ready to go in WWE, but it's not the talent problem. It's the booking and the creative problem of how do we give these guys and gals something to work with, something to chew on, something to get over with, right? LA Knight is on this list, but he hasn't been given the world title. He's actually bitching and moaning backstage because he doesn't have a world title shot and all these things, like, and now they're doing the number one contenders for the luchadors, which we all know Roman Reigns is going to beat whoever the sorry soul is that has to do that, but they're going to get exposure. Yes, JJ.
To your point, and I hate the solo shots. To your point, though, about getting everybody ready for the next crop of people, if this information that I have on my phone is correct, Roman's contract ends in April of next year. Punk's expires November of this year. Seth's is May of next year. Cody's is October of 2028. Now that's assuming none of them re-sign. Okay? But that's losing 3 of those names by this time next year. I think we're going to be okay. Because we've got Braun Breaker, we've got Obafemi, we've got Trick Williams. Those 3 people can very easily be slotted into those 3 spots. Just with where they're at now. Once Ray officially retires, Dominic is going to take that spot. The problem with Ray is that every time they're getting ready to pull the trigger, he freaking gets injured because he's had 532 surgeries on the same knee. Every time they're heated up to where they're going to pull that trigger, the AAA Mega Campeon versus Mask/career, Ray gets injured.
And then he goes off and gets stem cells and proves that stuff works because he comes back. And then when he's healthy, he hasn't lost a step.
Yeah. And we'll see that against Chad Gable on Monday night.
Yeah. That's gonna be such a fun match, and we definitely want him to stay healthy. Nick mentioned modern medicine. That does allow for the longevity of this, and WWE will probably be fine. They will probably do all right once these guys go. I like Becky's on her last contract. I know the ladies aren't on here, but Becky's on her last contract. She's been outspoken about that. You know,
Bianca and Naomi, are they going to want to come back after just giving birth, or are they going to want to just quietly retire?
Well, I really hope that they come back because I love
see them coming
Bianca
back.
and I love Naomi.
I do too, but both of them have wanted to be moms for so long.
Yeah,
are they going to
especially
want to
with
go
Naomi.
back to being on the road,
And they're
or are
not
they
the
going to want to
youngest of
stay
ages
home
either.
with their kid?
Well, they're gonna want to stay home, and I understand. Like I get what JJ you're saying, but if I'm a younger star, and I'm the kind of guy who plays devil's advocate sometimes to the fault of my own.
Yes, I know.
How, you know, if I'm a younger talent and I see this, do I want to stick around? Do I want to be there and then get, you know, JJ? We had Joe Sawyer on the channel, and we talked to him at nauseum, and he told us a lot of things that behind the scenes I don't know if a lot of people knew. Right? You know, he told us stuff about, you know, just a little tidbit about how he pitched so much, you know, in the background, and it went on deaf ears. Right? So I mean, if I get the you know, they'll be fine, and they will be fine. Listen, at the end of the day, WWE is a juggernaut. They'll turn out talent like it's nothing, right? They'll go to the next university and they'll find the next star, right? You put them through if the WWE system is behind you, you'll be all right.
Mm-hmm.
But if I'm those talent, do I want to wait 2-3 years and be, not to say complacent, but, you know, do I want to risk not having my ideas be heard? It's a different, and I think another reason to the list is back then there was only one. There was only one out there. It was the WWF or nothing. Now it's different. We got another billionaire dishing out cash like there's no tomorrow. So, I mean, it goes into that, yeah, they'll be fine. But if I'm a young star, if I'm a Leon Slater, and I'm going to use him as an example, we know nothing. I know nothing, no inside of it. But take a guy like Leon Slater. I'm in TNA, and I have my option. I can go to WWE, you know, have that dream of being a WWE superstar. But then I see an act like Joe Hendry, and I see an act like Jordan Grace, and I'm like, do I want to go there? Or do I take my chance? Again, one's not better than the other right now, but do I want to take a chance in Jacksonville? Right? Like, there's so many different factors. I think now the fact that there is more than one big player in this world, talent should have their options open. We've interviewed so many talent on our channel, and they've all said the same thing, right? You know, how many times, JJ, have we asked certain wrestlers, you know, where does your style fit, or where do you feel yourself going? And we've had wrestlers say, you know, we not to burn bridges. It's not about burning bridges, but like there's two options now. There are two viable options out there that people have. So it's, do I want to go to the E and be in that situation, or do I want to take a chance and go there? Right? It's
Nick,
no,
you know,
and that's fair. And that's fair, Nick. Sorry, Gino, to cut you off.
you're good.
To just piggyback on that, the other thing to consider is that WWE has more television time. Period, point blank. AEW has 4 hours of TV a week, 4.5 if you count the overruns. WWE has got the 2.5 for Raw. They got the 2 to 3 for SmackDown. That's 5.5 right there. Plus the 2 for NXT, plus the 1 for Evolve, plus LFG. You know, you're looking at close to 10, sometimes 12 hours of television.
Yeah.
More likely for a young talent to get featured there than in Jacksonville.
Because their roster's huge in Jacksonville. Like, it's not
Oh,
small. Yeah.
No,
Like I pointed out last night on the review, how did going to Jacksonville fare for Camille and Deonna Purrazzo?
Not very well.
but I see, and I remember you make
to be on a pay-per-view though, because at least they got 15 matches compared to what WWE does.
I mean, that's a good point too.
That's
now
fair, Dave. That's
to
fair.
Nick's point though earlier, like there's this wonderful quote proverb, I think it's technically classified as, but sometimes you arrive at your destiny on the very road you took to avoid it. And like you said, Nick, there are other options out there.
Mm-hmm.
And if they're not treating the talent correctly, they're going to go over there. But WWE's problem, they're not treating them correctly because they don't want them to go over there. And they're going to arrive at their destiny and get that, trying to stop that from happening. Like if you treat your like people don't leave places that they're treated well. They don't. They like
unless you get released, and then you're
right. But
right.
If you get released, you get released. That is no controlling that. But if they're giving you the title and then and they're booking you high quality creative and things like that, when it's time to resign, you're not gonna go to the grass isn't always greener. You're not gonna want to leave. You're gonna feel like staying unless they ask you to take a massive pay cut, which we've seen they're also willing to do. But it's just funny because they seem to be keeping people at an arm's length because they're worried about breaking our heart again. It's like, no, like give these guys a chance. Like Braun Breaker, he's not going to AEW. Obafemi is a homegrown WWE talent. He's not going to AEW. Like again, Braun Breaker comes from a wrestling family. Yeah, it was mostly WCW, but they had his uncle and his dad are WWE Hall of Famers, if I remember correctly. Like why would they think he's going to go somewhere? Like it just doesn't make sense. Yes, Nick.
Well, to that point though, and I understand what you're saying. I'm going to push back a little on that though. Not to say that I see them going there in like the next 2 years, but we have to remember too, and this could be looked at as a good thing or a detriment. Tony got deep pockets. Like let's not kid ourselves here, right? Tony and AEW. Tony doesn't have to answer to nobody but Tony Khan at the end of the day. That guy can pull out his checkbook and write you. If I'm him and I know that Braun Breaker is a free agent, and let's say he doesn't like what he's being given, here's the checkbook. Write your number. You know what I mean? Like
I get that.
He I think is in, and part of me, JJ knows how much I've wanted to be on the No DQ review because I hear you guys talking about AEW a lot, and some of the takes I hear are good takes, and some of the other ones I'm like, oh man, I wish I was there.
Yeah.
But it's things like that where Tony, doesn't have to answer to anybody. He is a billionaire who can do whatever the hell he wants with his money. So if I'm him, if a guy like that becomes a free agent, yeah, guys, listen, hey, here's the checkbook. What do you want? Right?
Right. And to that point, though, Nick, like Tony can't talk to them while they're still under WWE contract. And if WWE is treating them properly, they're going to get them to re-sign before they become a free agent. Like if WWE lets somebody become a free agent or they decide not to re-sign, then the writing's already on the wall, like kind of anyway, right? Like, so if you keep your talent happy, they're going to want to resign. It's not like the NFL where my contract's up. I'm going to see what else is out there on the market. Like JJ said, and Dave's mentioned, like there's more TV time. There's more opportunity to do this. Maybe you're not on a pay-per-view. You have the opportunity to be on a pay-per-view, but you do have the opportunity to be on television. Like you guys interviewed Joe, and he has said in interviews, I don't know if he told you guys this too, but he wants to do something where he's on TV. He feels like a TV guy. He doesn't want to go to the indies and do all of that stuff. He finally gets how to work on TV, hard cam, commercial breaks, all those things. And he doesn't, and obviously AEW has a television show now, TNA has TV. So like, there's just all those factors there for sure. So at the end of the day though, like JJ said, and Dave and Nick, you guys have mentioned, WWE will be fine if they lose these guys or not. But to the contrast of going to AEW, like you guys have said, they don't always give you the strongest booking ever there either. Like, and when you're young enough, you don't always just, I mean, yeah, money is great. Don't get me wrong, but you do want to also have the opportunity to showcase your skills, and you don't want to be paid to, I mean, some people maybe want to be paid to sit in catering. Like I would take that contract all day. So we're going to go around now, give our final thoughts here and our plugs. We're going to start with Dave. Dave, final thoughts on the topic and maybe what other people have said, but final thoughts and where can the people find you?
Thanks, Gino. And like you guys are talking about, really, WWE will let the people go that if they really want to keep them, they'll keep them. Otherwise, just like the New Day, as much as we love them, they were willing to let them go. That's why everything happened the way it did. And same with Sheamus. Unfortunately, I think at the end of the day, they didn't care if they win or not. I mean, unfortunately, it's a big business, as our buddy Evan talks about a lot too. But you can find me on No DQ Review. We had a great review of 400 yesterday, and Gino did an amazing job as a moderator. And most of the time, JJ and Nick do great jobs, and I look forward again to be on Simply Reliable anytime they'll have me. Our buddy Oofman with Oofman Entertainment and Gavin Willuth. Again, Gino will say it, but I thank him too, because if it wasn't, when me and Gino started this and when he was by himself and he was nice enough to ask me to be on with him, we were doing it on a timer until Oofman came in and let us use StreamYard. So this has become a great show. Gino, you've done a great job in building people to come on, and we got a great family with No DQ, Simply Reliable, that we could all enjoy, whether we agree or disagree, to get together and talk professional wrestling. And I'll never be more happy than I am right now to get to be on with you guys and share thoughts at any time.
Thank you, Dave. And now everybody watching, whether live or on demand, you notice we didn't all agree with everything each other was saying, but nobody took personal shots at each other. Nobody was getting ragey. I mean, even though that's kind of my thing, nobody's getting mad at each other. We're all being respectful. We can disagree. And that's a lost art in the world today. You can disagree without having to take shots at somebody, this, that, and the other thing. So thank you so much, Dave. We're happy to have you. Speaking of happy to have you, first timer, hopefully first of many, Nick. Nick, thank you so much for joining us. Where can the people find you?
No, this has been great. The fact that, again, to be a part of the No DQ family, if you would have told me a year and a half ago that I'd be where I am with this stuff, it'd be crazy. Love all you guys. You can find me on X. I think my name is down there. Yeah, Nick Believe 12. Follow us. We got some great stuff cooking. Me and JJ have just been, we say it all the time on the show. If you ain't on the train, you better get on. And the fact that we have such great partners and do this stuff with you, with Gino, and the No DQ review. I mean, it just crazy. And I'll leave JJ for the other announcements.
Yes, Nick, it was a pleasure having you, man. I didn't doubt it at all. I knew you could bring it, and I'm happy you brought it here with us. Thank you so much. I'm not going to go full screen with JJ because I don't want him to ban me from SRS. But JJ, where can the people find you?
Always a pleasure to be here, Gino. Thank you for having me back. Nick, good boy. You were good tonight.
Listen,
you were on your best behavior. Hey, look, you know how it is when you've got that one friend you're worried is going to embarrass you.
Oh,
I love Nick like a brother, but I had to tell him in private. I was like, dude, best behavior. This is an audition of sorts. Best behavior. So
Gino,
good job, buddy.
You are lucky. You are lucky because usually if you watch our SRS studio stuff and you watch the shenanigans, I have a mouth like a sailor. So you are lucky that I think this is the first show that I've done that I haven't dropped an F-bomb. Yes. There you go.
Because I did like
I appreciate that. Yeah,
on the
now, I don't.
shenanigans, and I loved it. I loved.
Yeah, I don't
being
have that necessarily rule, but it is always
Yeah.
better, if somebody kids watching the show and their parent sees them, you're never allowed to watch that again. So we do appreciate it. If they slip, they slip. But you did a great job. And yeah, like to your point, JJ, when you recommend somebody for a job or to something like if they don't whatever, it could
reflects
look
on
bad
you.
on you. But he reflected very positively on you. It's blinded my eyes. So yeah, where can the people find the good work that you're doing though, JJ?
So you can find me on Instagram, the Renegade JJ Williams, YouTube Casa D18 Studios, X is Casa D18 Studio, no S at the end. Simply Reliable Studios. You can find us at SR Studios 2024 on X. Dropped some huge bombshells the last couple of evenings. This coming Tuesday, we're going to have Manuel from the Future of Women's Wrestling. He's the promoter for that company based out of LA here. He's going to be on the show to hype their 3rd anniversary show on August 22nd, which also happens to coincide with being my 50th birthday. So going to be going checking that out. We're going to be sponsoring the Ladies Night Out champion, top tier Jasmine Allure at that show. So little bombshell that even Nick didn't know there.
Dropping bombs here live, folks.
Coming up on September 2nd, which is a Wednesday, a rare Wednesday interview for us because, got to work with the talent. The Pro Wrestling Symphony champion, Colby Carter, will be gracing us with his presence. We will also be sponsoring his title defense at the September Pro Wrestling Symphony show. So if you're in the Tennessee area, the Nashville, Tennessee area, and you can get out to that, go represent, go show some love. We already had Statboy go out to a show back in July and represent for us. So that was pretty awesome, actually getting a face out there to mingle with some of those guys. But lots more going to be dropping in the next few days and weeks. We've been corresponding with a few different independent wrestlers, trying to get bookings for interviews. So just be on the lookout. SR Studios 2024 on X.
Wow, it's a lot of good stuff, guys. So yeah, whether you're watching on my channel or Aaron's channel, go find these guys and show them some love. They're doing great work. As for me, you can find me right here on my YouTube channel. And you can find me on Aaron. You can find me moderating or being a panelist on the No DQ Review. Next Tuesday, the No DQ Review is my 2-year anniversary to the day. How often does that happen where it's the exact day of the year? So I'm super looking forward to that. Thank you so much to Nick. Thank you so much to Dave. Thank you so much to JJ. Thank you to everybody that joined us in the chat. Thank you to anybody who's watching live or on demand. We appreciate it. And this is always fun to be able to come on here and talk with you guys, and you'll definitely be seeing a lot more Nick and JJ, and Dave's always super reliable with that. I don't want to call him Mr. Reliable because I don't want to infringe on any gimmicks, but thank you so much from the bottom of my heart, guys. You guys have helped me out so much, and this is a lot of fun. So from JJ to Dave to Nick, as always, we'll catch you on the next one. Bye-bye.